Watching Wayne TV, CBS Fort Wayne. This is coverage you can count on News Channel 15's First at 5.
Now at 5, searching for a shooter. The gunman who attacked a person at a home in Fort Wayne is still on the run as shock sets in on the city's southwest side. Good evening. There is a lot of new information tonight since we first cut in with the story this morning, moments after it happened.
We had most of our newsroom at the scene throughout the day, gathering details for you. News Channel 15's Drew Blair was one of the first reporters there, and she's live again now. And Drew, you've been following this from the mobile newsroom all day long.
And since shots fired at this house just after 8, the person responsible has gone unseen. Police say whoever it was showed up in David Cooker's garage this morning. When the homeowner discovered the suspect, Cooker was sprayed in the face with something, then shot. With shots to the hip and shoulder, Cooker made it outside to his front yard, yelling for help. A neighbor heard those cries. So did an off-duty sheriff's deputy living across the street. His car parked in the driveway. He waited for uniformed officers to get there before searching the home for the suspect or any other possible victims. They found nothing. Indiana State Police started tracking a scent before it was eventually lost.
They had their canine units arrive immediately, and they began a track. So we were tracking a suspect up until just a few minutes ago. We were tracking the scent.
The victim went to the hospital in serious condition. Again, the person behind this is still out here somewhere. There's no description of the suspect at this time. You can imagine how nervous that makes neighbors around here. We talked to one of them. You can hear from him coming up at 6. Live from the southwest side of Fort Wayne, Drew Blair, News Channel 15.
And as we said, we've had crews out there all day getting the latest information.
News Channel 15's Elizabeth Fields continues our team coverage live from Whispering Meadows Elementary. She has more on the school lockdown today. Liz?
Mark and Heather, this is the school that is closest to where the shooting happened. And when it happened, school hadn't started yet. All of the kids weren't inside. In fact, they were all on their way here. It was 8:35 when administrators made the decision to lock down the schools, and they started making announcements on the speakers outside here. It's a system administrators admit isn't used much, but some parents say it needs to be fixed because it didn't work right at all.
It was the Allen County Sheriff's Department that advised administrators to lock Southwest Allen County schools down. Only administrators say the timing couldn't have been worse.
Certainly the timing of the event made it very difficult for us to communicate outside. Also, the nature of the event made it very difficult. We did not have a lot of information, and that, of course, everybody wants to know why, and there's not a lot of time to share why.
So kids on school buses were taken to another school, and they worked to tell parents who were dropping kids off.
The principal was telling people to go home, and given the number of people that were coming, we decided to use the school's external speaker system. Any child that showed up without an adult, we brought in the building. There may have been cases where students heard an announcement and turned around and went home.
There were some of those cases, and parents are upset.
I guess my concern is the whole idea that he rode to school, he was at school and was turned away when there's, crazy stuff going on in the neighborhood. That to me seems like the completely wrong call.
Then I could kind of hear the PA system going over outside, but there wasn't anybody outside telling us what was going on.
If somebody has a concern, I suggest they call their elementary school principal or middle school, whichever building they're at, and let them know what the concern was so that we can make sure that we don't leave a stone unturned.
Some parents were also concerned because the lockdown was called off while the shooter was still on the loose. Assistant Superintendent Philip Downs said that the police did tell them that it was safe, and if they had gotten any different information throughout the day, they would have gone back into lockdown. Coming up tonight at 6, I'll tell you how administrators say that they're going to use today's drill as a learning experience for their own. Reporting live from Whispering Meadows Elementary, I'm Elizabeth Fields, News Channel 15.
So who exactly is this shooting victim?
Our crews were digging into that question today and uncovered David Cooker is a pretty prominent figure in Fort Wayne. Continuing team coverage now, News Channel 15's Adam Widener got some answers, and you tracked him down at a local law firm.
Yeah, sure did. David Cooker is an attorney with Faegre Baker Daniels, and outside of law, he's very involved in a lot of local organizations. Leaders with Faegre Baker Daniels say Cooker is the office leader with the firm's Fort Wayne operations. It's located downtown in the Wells Fargo building right across from One Summit Square. His focus, though, is corporate law, not criminal. We've also uncovered Cukor is well known in the Fort Wayne community. He served as the director of the Embassy Theater Foundation, a former director of Matthew 25 Health and Dental Clinic, former director of Christian Urban Ministries. He's also on the school board at Emmanuel St. Michael Lutheran School and is a former member of the Arts United Finance Committee. Now, Cukor's law firm released a statement saying, "Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Dave and his family during this time of recovery." Once again, at last check, Cukor was in serious condition. Leaders at the firm say they're glad his injuries are not life-threatening. I went to his law office early this afternoon and asked why people there think someone would target this attorney's home. You can hear what leaders there had to say to that question coming up tonight at 6.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
Well, back in 2005, a similar situation played out in the Shorewood subdivision. Police say George Bellio broke into the home of an old friend and beat the man with a tire iron. Then Bellio went missing. Leaders put 2 Southwest Allen elementary schools on lockdown at the time. 4 days later, police arrested Bellio peacefully near the University of St. Francis. He has since been found incompetent to stand trial, and he is in a mental hospital. We will, of course, continue to follow this story. Tonight, News Channel 15's Randy Spieth will talk to neighbors as night falls. He'll get the feel of the community. You can look for his report on Nightcast as well as on Wayne.com.
In other news tonight, this morning, a train derailed in Noble County, sparking a fire. We were first to break the news this morning on First News, and News Channel 15's Megan Royce just got back from Ligonier, where officials addressed the media in a news conference. What did you learn, Megan?
Well, Heather, the Noble County Sheriff says that everything is under control at this point. He says the train derailed shortly after 5 a.m. One of the cars was carrying sulfur. That was the car that caught fire. While I was at the press conference around 3 this afternoon, the sheriff said it was still burning. Now, they can't put it out with water because it would complicate things like air quality. The sheriff says a half-dozen homes nearby have been evacuated as a precaution. Several agencies have come out to help.
You know, if there's not 100 different agencies, I'd be surprised. We've got very, very good representation from a lot of state, local, federal agencies.
Now, they urge people to stay away from the scene because of the hazardous chemical, and if the wind changes, they may need to evacuate more homes. Now, the sheriff anticipates that the scene should be cleaned up by noon tomorrow. We'll continue to bring you the very latest on this situation. For now, reporting live from News Control, Megan Royce, News Channel 15.
Cool and breezy out there today. Let's get to Jonathan for a first look at what's ahead.
Well, we saw quiet weather this afternoon, plenty of sunshine. Let's see if we have any rain out there, because I thought I saw a few clouds moving across the area. Notice that we are rain-free. No rain showing up in Live Doppler 15 Fury. Boy, it looks like a nice day to be out on Thunder Field. The lacrosse team out there doing some practicing. You can see the sun getting a little bit lower on the horizon. We have 58 degrees. That's a high temperature for today. Chance of rain for tonight, it's there, but it's going to be in the overnight hours while you're sleeping. Between 1 in the morning and 5 in the morning. Look for a line of scattered showers and thunderstorms to move through. We're not expecting severe weather, and temperatures will actually climb into the overnight hours. So that low of 50 degrees tonight will be set at about 9 o'clock. Now, what does this mean for tomorrow afternoon? We'll talk about that in a few moments.
Thank you, Jonathan. The pain at the pump just keeps getting worse. We found regular unleaded gas at the Circle K on West State Boulevard for $4.15 a gallon. The last time prices were this high was last summer. The record here in Northeast Indiana is $4.29, and we did set that last year. The national average is $3.87. If you need to fill up, you can head to Wayne.com. Before you do that, by clicking on the gas gauge, you can find the cheapest prices right here in our area.
State troopers made close to $1 million drug bust on the Indiana toll road last night. Around 11 o'clock, a trooper made a traffic stop in Steuben County. That's when another trooper noticed a bundle of marijuana under a tarp. After getting a search warrant, they found several bundles totaling about 200 pounds of pot. They arrested Richard Parker II. He is a 64-year-old from California. Tense moments aboard a JetBlue flight, a flight that ended with the captain being escorted off the plane. Here's cell phone video on a flight from New York to Vegas. The captain became incoherent. Witnesses say the captain came out of the cockpit to use the restroom. Then the flight crew locked him out. And when he tried to get back in, he started screaming. A flight attendant immediately got on the intercom and asked passengers to tackle him. Several people held him down until the plane made an emergency landing in Texas. No one was hurt. JetBlue says the plane was diverted because of a medical situation with the captain.
Anger continues to grow over the shooting death of Trayvon Martin, the 17-year-old who was shot in Florida by a neighborhood watch captain. Police are once again on the defensive after new details about Trayvon's death were leaked. George Zimmerman told officers he fired at Martin in self-defense. He says the teen approached him from behind, punched him, and bashed his head against the sidewalk. Sanford police said the report was consistent with their evidence and authorities are investigating the leak. The attorney for Martin's parents says they are outraged.
They can't keep having these leaks in the Sanford Police Department, but notice all these leaks are beneficial to George Zimmerman.
Trayvon's parents attended a hearing in Washington on racial profiling. They think police are trying to smear their son's name. Coming up next, the battle on Capitol Hill. The Supreme Court is weeding through the health care reform mandate that says every American must buy health insurance.
Plus, a little later, we will take you to Cuba, where the Pope is in the middle of a visit.
Coverage you can count on continues with Heather Herron and Mark Mellinger.
It is day 2 of the Supreme Court hearings into the recent health care reform law.
Today focused on the controversial requirement that nearly every American must buy health insurance. Danielle Nottingham is at the Supreme Court with the story.
Protesters passionate about the health care law surrounded the Supreme Court Tuesday.
We love Obamacare!
Some fighting for its survival.
Everyone will benefit, that's the whole point.
Others eager to see the justices strike it down.
Our government has never had that power before, and it should not have it. It's not constitutional.
The Supreme Court is weighing the part of the law that requires nearly every American to buy health insurance or pay a penalty.
If the federal government can do this, they can force us to do anything. And that's why we're fighting this with everything we've got.
26 states are suing to stop the requirement from taking effect. The arguments for both sides center around one question. Does the federal government have the authority to force people to buy insurance? Solicitor General Donald Verrilli pressed the Obama administration's case.
Congress has the authority under the Commerce Power and the necessary proper power to ensure that people have insurance in advance of the point of sale because of the unique nature of this market.
But the court's conservative justices had some sharp questions for him.
So can the government require you to buy a cell phone because that would facilitate responding when you need emergency services?
Based on Tuesday's arguments, court watchers say the justices may be ready to strike down this part of the law, but the court won't issue its decision until June. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
Let's get back to Jonathan. He's on deck with your full forecast.
Well, today we enjoyed a dry afternoon with high temperatures coming on in the upper 50s, 58 degrees. We expect 53 for this time of year. Again, dry this afternoon, but I'm tracking the development of showers and thunderstorms for the overnight hours, and I'm going to talk all about that after the break.
Coverage you can count on continues with Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Conder's live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
Well, our Hoosier sky looks fairly quiet right now, but there's a chance of storms later tonight. Let's see if we can see anything right now on live Doppler 15 Fury. No, there are no storms out there. There is a chance of storms in the overnight hours, and I'll address that here in just a moment. But what do you do if in the overnight hours severe weather does move in and you don't have your TV on and you don't hear the little text alert go off on your smartphone? I get that in the overnight. What do you do? How do you get woken up besides the thunderstorms waking you up? The key is having a weather radio, folks. And if you don't have one of these, it is like wearing your seatbelt when you're in the car. It's like having a smoke detector in your house. It's a minimum investment, and I have one at my house for me and my wife. We have one here in the Weather Center. Every home. It would be my goal by soon that every house should have one of these. And this isn't a sales pitch. I'm just trying to keep people safe. So again, if you don't have a weather radio, go to Walgreens. They have them on sale right now. Will you need it tonight? I don't think so. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Look outside St. Joseph Hospital. A few clouds coming on in, but we were able to land a high 58 today. Notice that the humidity right now is very low. Temperatures are going to drop down to 50 degrees. This will be the lowest temperature here in the next 24 hours, but they're going to climb into the overnight. So when you start your day tomorrow, we'll be in the mid-50s. We'll climb to a high 70 for tomorrow afternoon. Rain chances, it's all going to happen the overnight. Dry evening, dry tomorrow afternoon, but notice that tomorrow we're running a 40% chance at 1 in the morning. That's when our line of scattered showers and thunderstorms will move on through. It's 57 up in Angola. It's 61 down in Portland. Temperatures across the region. Check out these numbers. 70's not that far away. 74 in Springfield, 75 in Evansville. Eventually that air will move in. A little bit of it tomorrow. So here we are. We're dry this evening. No thunderstorms developing yet, but there is a risk of severe weather across parts of Illinois. That slight risk does not move into the Wayne viewing area. So tonight, if you hear a rumble of thunder, that's all it's going to be, non-severe storms. So what's the timeline here? Dry 8, dry 9, dry 11. Little line of storms moving through as early as 1 in the morning, moving out by 7 in the morning. So it's an overnight event while you're sleeping. And then tomorrow, a dry afternoon. Not bad. Looking actually pretty good. Highs upper 60s, even some mid 70s down south. I have 70 on the map there for Fort Wayne. 74 tomorrow. Again, a dry afternoon. That rain chance is for very early in the morning. Dry Thursday, but cooler. Still kind of quiet and cool for Friday. Thunderstorms and showers are possible, though. Warm up for the end of the weekend. So if you're planning your weekend, the front end of it wet and cooler, the tail end of it dry, sunny, mid-70s now for Sunday, 75 degrees. So you knew the 70s weren't that far away.
I know. As you said, it's a roller coaster.
Will be.
Yeah, we'll take it. Still to come here on First at 5, stories for your well-being.
If you have a high-stress job, you may want to find a way to manage that stress. Researchers say they have found a link between stress and a serious disease. Details next.
Coverage you can count on continues on News Channel 15's First at 5.
Doctors think stress may play a role in Alzheimer's disease. In Stories for Your Well-Being, we have the results of a new study on mice. It found chronic stress can trigger the growth of proteins in brain cells, and those proteins have been linked to Alzheimer's. Researchers in California say the effect was most prominent in the region of the brain that collects memories.
In other news, 2 people are dead after wildfires have taken over Colorado. Plumes of thick smoke are spreading near Denver. The lower North Fork fire started yesterday and has burned more than 3,000 acres. The fire spread so quickly that crews have had to shift to rescuing people. About 900 homes have been evacuated and more are threatened. Fort Wayne police are trying to figure out how a pickup truck ended up in the St. Joe River. It happened just before 1:30 this morning near the 1600 block of East Coliseum Boulevard. That's around Johnny Appleseed Park. Police don't have a lot of information. One person who was apparently in the vehicle told police the driver went to a local hospital. We do not know his condition.
Pope Benedict is spending more time in Cuba today. After praying at the shrine of Cuba's patron saint in Santiago, he landed in Havana this afternoon. The Pope will meet with the country's president, Raul Castro, tonight in Havana. He may also spend some time with Fidel Castro, who is very sick.
Up next, Jonathan has one last check of your 7-day planner.
Here's a quick look at today's top stories. Police are looking for the man who shot a homeowner in southwest Fort Wayne this morning. They say the suspect showed up in David Cooker's garage, sprayed him in the face with something, and as Cooker tried to get away, he was shot. At last check, he was in serious condition.
And as a result of the shooting and as a precaution, Southwest Allen County put all of its schools on lockdown. That's because it happened in the Shorewood subdivision close to Whispering Meadows Elementary School. Some students who hadn't gotten to that school yet were told to go home. Those already inside, along with students at the district's other schools, were locked in for about an hour.
Looks like some rain is moving in.
There's a chance of rain in the overnight hours, probably while we're all sleeping. I'll be up. I'm going to watch it, but probably about 1 or 2 in the morning. Line of storms are not going to be severe. Our lowest temperature will be 50 degrees by this later evening. Temperatures will climb to the mid-50s tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow's looking great. Partly cloudy, warmer, will be dry. Winds come around the northwest, and some cooler air will move in late in the day, but we'll land that high as 70 before the temperatures start to fall. Thursday, cooler, sunny. Chance of rain looks pretty high for Friday morning. Some more scattered showers or thunderstorms on Saturday, so the weekend kind of starting wet, but if you just, as I like to say, put on your patient pants for the weekend. Sunday's looking good. I mean, good things come to those who wait. Sunday,
that is true.
Mid-70s and dry.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan.
Get to the drawer and dig out those patient pants, right? Thank you, as always, for joining us tonight.
We'll see you at 6.